Hello, and welcome back to your Emotional Support Podcast, where we provide simple emotional support for women navigating life's challenges, relationships, stress, and self-worth. I'm your host, Noelle Rizzio, counselor, author, and fellow human trying to figure it all out one day at a time. Today, we're talking about something that sounds simple but can completely change how you feel about yourself. And I talk about this so often with clients, and it has come up recently with several clients in the last few weeks. And I really thought it was important to bring here because it feels like something that's just like a no-brainer, but it really isn't. We're talking about understanding what is within your control and what is not. Because so much of our anxiety, frustration, self-doubt, and even our low self-worth comes from trying to manage things that were never ours to manage in the first place. If you've ever found yourself exhausted from trying to make someone understand you, worried about what everyone thinks, or blaming yourself for things that aren't actually your responsibility, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. So most of us spend a surprising amount of time trying to control things that are completely outside our influence. We try to control other people's opinions, especially maybe of us. We try to control other people's moods or take them on as our responsibility. We try to control whether someone likes us, whether our children make perfect decisions, whether our coworkers appreciate our efforts, how quickly life unfolds, and what happened in the past. And when these things don't go the way that we hoped, we often assume we did something wrong. We internalize outcomes that were never fully ours to control. This is where our self-worth can really start taking a hit. Because when we measure our value by outcomes we cannot guarantee, we create a game we can never win. So let's talk about what is actually within our control, because that is really important. Let's simplify this. So generally speaking, you can control your effort, your choices, your actions, your words, your boundaries, your values, your reactions, your willingness to learn and grow. And that's about it. You cannot directly control outcomes. You can influence outcomes, but influence is not control. For example, you can prepare thoroughly for a job interview. You cannot control whether you're selected. You can communicate clearly in a relationship. You cannot control whether the other person listens or how they react. You can parent with love and guidance, but you cannot control every choice your child makes. Understanding the distinction between influence and control can be incredibly freeing. And a lot of us really struggle with this. Many women, especially caregivers, helpers, high achievers, we've learned to carry responsibility for everyone around us. We become problem solvers, planners. We become the emotional managers, the peacekeepers. Somewhere along the way, we started believing if everyone is okay, then I'm doing a good job. And when someone isn't okay, then we blame ourselves. But here's the truth. You can be loving and someone can still be unhappy. You can be supportive and someone can still struggle. You can do everything quote unquote right and still experience disappointment. This doesn't mean that you have failed. It means that you are human. Self-worth grows when we stop evaluating ourselves based on things we can't control. Think about how often we say things like, I should have made them happy. I should have prevented this. I should have fixed it. I should have known. These thoughts assume a level of control that we simply don't have. Healthy self-worth says, I did my best with what I knew at the time. Healthy self-worth says, I am responsible for my actions, not everyone's reactions. Healthy self-worth says, my value doesn't change because an outcome wasn't perfect. When we stop taking ownership of things that aren't ours, we create room for self-compassion. Here is a perfect example that just happened yesterday. Money is a topic that a lot of couples really struggle with. And my husband and I were having a discussion about money, and he was getting super frustrated. And I started taking it very personally because I felt like it was something that I should have been able to control, right? And I went outside, I was doing yard work, and I was digging holes for plants, and I was digging those holes with as much fierce anger as I could because I was so mad that he was mad. And I had to really think about, like, I have been doing the best that I can. There are some things that are out of my control. And his frustration was about something that was not my fault. It was not my control. And he knew that, and I knew that, but I was taking it on that I should have known. I should have done something. And once I let that go and realized, okay, this is not mine to own, then I was able to let it go. We had another conversation about it later, and everything was fine. Okay. So when you stop taking on things that aren't your control, you have much more inner peace. Here is a simple exercise I often recommend. Take a piece of paper and draw either a line down the middle or a circle in the middle. And on one side or in the circle, label it within my control. On the other side or outside of the circle, right outside my control. Let's say you're worried about a difficult conversation. Okay, what is within your control? Preparing what you want to say, staying respectful, being honest, listening. What are the things that are outside of your control in this conversation? Their response is out of your control. Whether they agree is out of your control. Whether they make changes is out of your control. And whether they like what you say is not in your control. Immediately, you can see where your energy belongs. When we focus on the things that are within our control, we feel empowered. When we obsess over the things that are out of our control, we feel helpless, we feel frustrated, and that increases our stress, right? So sometimes people hear this concept and they think, so I should just stop caring. No, not at all. Letting go of control isn't giving up. It's accepting reality. It's recognizing where your responsibility ends. It's showing up fully while understanding that you don't get to write every part of the story. You still care. You still try. You still love. You simply stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. Okay? Let's look at another few examples from real life situations. Like if you're applying for jobs, what is within your control? Updating your resume, applying consistently, being aware of new positions that are available, maybe practicing interviews. What is not in your control is the hiring decisions, the economic conditions, the other applicants. What if you're dating? Okay, this is a big one. What is within your control? Being authentic, communicating honestly, setting healthy boundaries. What is not within your control is whether someone chooses you, and that we take on a lot. Okay, what else is not in your control? Their emotional readiness and their level of maturity. Okay, what about parenting? Huge, huge, huge. We take on so much of what our kids do, say, how they behave, okay? What is within our control? Teaching values to our kids, providing guidance for our kids, being present with our kids. What is not in our control is every decision our kid makes, every challenge that they encounter. And what is not in our control is their future outcomes. When we stop measuring ourselves by the things that are outside of our control, then our self-worth becomes much more stable. So here are a few new questions to ask yourself. Instead of asking, how can I make this work out exactly the way I want? Try asking, what is the next thing that is within my control? This question shifts us from anxiety to action, okay? From helplessness to empowerment, from perfectionism to progress. And that shift can make a tremendous difference in how we feel about ourselves. One thing I want to throw in before I end today is that my book, The Princess Never Needed Saving, 7 Levels to Emotional Wellness, Personal Growth, and Lasting Change, just went on pre-order this past week. So if you would like to get your name on that pre-order list, you can go to my website, noellerizzio.com, go to books, and you can pre-order that book. I am so excited about it. It is just going to be so great. It includes so much of what I talk about here in your emotional support podcast, but also gives you like more focused, strategic tips. All right. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this reminder. Your worth is not determined by your ability to control life. Your worth is not determined by other people's opinions. Your worth is not determined by outcomes, approval, or perfection. Your worth comes from who you are, not from how successful you manage the things that were never yours to control in the beginning. So this week, when you notice yourself carrying a burden that doesn't belong to you, pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, practice releasing it. If the answer is yes, focus your energy there. You may be surprised by how much lighter and more confident you begin to feel. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who might need that reminder. Until next time, remember, you are worthy exactly as you are. I am so glad you're here.